Listen up, for knowledge is spoken. Listen up, for knowledge has spoken. Now, in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, there's a chapter on sex transmutation. What does transmute mean? Transmute just means to change the form of something. And of course, sex in and of itself is a very pleasurable act that carries with it a unique energy. Y'all ever notice that when you're having sex, well, most of us, we're not thinking about the bills, we're not thinking about the worries or the problems. It is a focused energy, but it is an energy. I talk about semen retention a lot because testosterone and masculine energy can often be attracted by women in a way that they may not even know. There's been studies that when men who have high doses of testosterone in their blood, because they're not using sexual energy, your athletes, your Olympians, are often talked about during their training that they're to focus on other things besides the physical act of sex. That energy is often utilized for the sport, for the fight, for something else. And the high levels of testosterone in the sweat even, they have even tested, they have taken sweat off of men, and they have noticed that the ones when women are going through a certain stage during their cycle, I've heard that it's during the time of ovulation. I'm not certain. But I know that through certain speeches that I've heard and others, they have pointed to the fact that there are times when women will smell a man's sweat, and the one that has the most testosterone, they'll be more attracted to. So, sex, the physical act, we often indulge in, sometimes unaware that we don't have to indulge in the act, but transmute the energy, change the energy into something else. Now, sex, for most of us, when we think about it, creates fantasy, it creates images. All of us are attracted to certain things, but the energy from sex does not have to be used for the act itself. It can actually be used in a way to take that energy and carry it out to produce something that we want in life. This is why Napoleon Hill said that successful men are often sexualized. In other words, they're using this energy for something else. He also talked about how a lot of men that are successful have women in their lives that they're attracted to. And this attraction creates an energy, creates an urge, and they take this to produce a business, a career, even inventions. You know, there was a gentleman by the name of George. We just passed Black History Month. And there's a gentleman by the name of George Washington Carver. He actually was, during slavery, they did a lot of things to us as a people as slaves, including castration. That George Washington Carver was castrated. If you hear his voice on certain videos, not videos, but audio images, it was a high-pitched voice because he lacked certain male hormones in areas that most of us as men would have. And it is male hormones that's responsible for bass in the voice, coarse skin. So they talked about the fact that he was very effeminate in his physical appearance. He got married later, but the marriage was a sexless marriage. But he was such a genius that he took those male hormones, because he never utilized his sex organ, and that going through the bloodstream, he would utilize that energy to create, and that's why he was one of the most accomplished inventors. A lot of times we waste energy on the act of sex. They even notice with certain Buddhist monks that do not use the sex energy or even their hormonal sex for the physical act, but they're able to transmute or change the form and produce poetry, teachings, art, all kinds of things. What are we getting at? You know, a lot of us as men, and the reason why I studied and am still studying and improving on self, I ran into a movement called the No Fap movement. No Fap, where they determined that they were not going to watch pornography and they were not going to masturbate. And men noticed that the attraction from women was even greater because of the testosterone circulating, creating. And you know, hormones release gases. There are hormones called pheromones that release gases in the atmosphere, and the opposite sex picks up on it. There are also unseen gases in nature that are exhibited from certain species, and the species that is attracted, the male attracted to the female, a lot of times will be attracted to that species at certain times. Some animals do this. They release, because at certain times their hormones will release into the environment, you know, certain unseen gases. And the other species will pick up on it. Or not the other species, but the female species will pick up on the male, and vice versa. No different with us. When we are utilizing our sex energy for something other than the act. Now, I want to say, I do believe that masturbation in and of itself is a wasted act as we get older. Pornography is a wasted act. But I do believe that if we are able to harness, I believe a good partner for you men, female partner in your life, is going to make you more creative and more perceptive, and that you can transmute that energy. You know, when you have that sexual energy, it is sometimes the most powerful. Men are often brought down because of sex. When you look at all of these, what do you call them, men in power that may have had some type of indiscretion, these things that are brought to the forefront often destroy their character or destroy their reputation. But those that can utilize that sex energy when they're not using it in the bedroom with their partner for something else of value are often very, very successful. Now, how does this happen? Sex, the act of sex, doesn't start in the body physically. It starts in the mind, starts in the brain. And once a person gets turned on, that energy can be used for the act, or that energy is so focused that it produces images and pictures in the mind. And those images and pictures in the mind, if they're focused on, can be used to create something. So turn that sexual energy into riches, into wealth, into a business. Do not hold it. Do not try to block it. Do not try to inhibit it, because it's something that cannot be inhibited. It cannot be stopped. It's going to come out either in negative form or positive form, but it should be channeled best in a positive form. Now, why did Napoleon Hill put this in the book? He put it in the book because in the 1930s, sex was taboo, even in the 40s and even today. However, if we could channel that sex energy into producing something, then we'll find that sex is not an enemy. Sex is a friend. Sex used properly, sex used rightly, and not sex out of context. Feel free to leave a comment down below, like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the station. Thank you.